Kevin.
Is there a packet?
Yes.
Oh, I think I might. There we go.
Good evening. This is Traffic and Safety meeting tonight. It's March 7th, and we're going to start off with a roll call.
I'm sorry, 8:05 p.m.?
Oh, and it is at 8:06.
Okay. Cuthbertson,
Yes.
D'Alessandro,
Here.
Blaskamp,
Here.
McMurray, Carl Timmerman, Karen Timmerman, Bob Wagner,
Here.
Chairman Pinkos.
Here. Okay. Are there any amendments to our agenda? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to public comments on agenda items. Anybody in the public here commenting on agenda items?
That's mine.
Nope. Okay, then we'll move on to public comments on non-agenda items, which obviously that must be everybody that's out there. And we're going to ask you to hold on, keep it down to about 3 to 4 minutes in reference to your comments. When you do come up, could you please give us your name, and do we need their address?
If they would be willing to provide it. yeah.
And if you're willing, go ahead and give us your address, and then you can start with your comments. So whoever wants to go first. Okay? And everybody has filled out an agenda request to speak, am I correct on that?
Right, I have. Patricia Plattenberger, 713 East Madison Street, Villa Park. So I'm here to ask the Traffic and Safety Board to make a recommendation to the zoning board. And this is what, I don't have a ton of copies, but I have some. This is what we are adopting.
Careful.
Maybe you could share.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No problem, thank you.
Sorry, I had dental surgery yesterday, so.
Okay.
So, if this were to pass, we feel it would cause such an increase in traffic and parking on our street that it would cause a lot of problems.
Could you explain what the situation is that you're
Okay,
looking?
so Madison Street is a dead-end cul-de-sac street.
Okay.
And on the end of that street there, 721, is that the? That sounds right. Okay, so there's an office building
Right.
at 721.
It became a
We're
cul-de-sac.
now
when they put-
asking to change the zoning from commercial to special use, and that would be for a community center.
Okay.
The address of the building is Madison, and there's not access to the designated front or to the parking lot from Madison. So anyone coming to the community center would be directed to go down Madison Street. And if they start to park there, it's going to cause a huge problem for us. And my concern also is that they use the cul-de-sac as a drop-off for young adults or children, and then try to turn around in that small cul-de-sac, which is cause a danger to our children.
Okay. So this is at the, right by Route 83?
Yes. There
Okay.
there is access from Route 83, but it
Okay.
doesn't have and there's a frontage road, which I can't find a name for that frontage road, but
Okay.
they would be directed to enter.
So it's that building actually that you access, from my knowledge right now, from Route 83, like if you're going into the Walmart complex?
Yes.
And it is to the right as you enter in?
You make a right turn onto what is Riverside, and then you'd make another right turn to go into the parking lot for that now office building and for the front entrance. But the address of that building is on Madison Street. The address is 721 East Madison Street. Now, years ago, I think in 1988, that was, they put in a cul-de-sac and a dead end because there was so much traffic for people trying to get, circumvent 83, and also from people going to Walmart. So if we do this, we nullify all that was done in the 80s to make that street, that residential street, safer.
Okay. And this is coming up through the Planning and Zoning Commission,
Going to be heard on Thursday.
and this is owned by the village too, or it's a community center? I don't know.
It's owned by Suburban Bank of Elmhurst, and the community, the cultural facility is
Yeah. I remember what
a
it was
religious
called.
assembly cultural facility. We don't really know. We've tried to research all the events that they would have there, but we aren't able to tell. But a community cultural center,
Down Madison.
seems to me, would have events all day, every day.
You could,
Okay.
people would have to
So,
actually drive over.
All right, obviously, we do not know anything about this situation, so we have really no comments except for what you
Okay.
have had to say. So we appreciate that, and thank you for the little piece of paper here.
yeah, oh, I have one more.
Planning and zoning, okay? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to make a comment? Yes, go ahead.
I filled out the paperwork. My name's Henry Martins. I reside at 717 East Madison. Some people in town know me as Buddy Martins. I've been a 55-year resident, continuous, of Villa Park. The reason why I'm here tonight is, one, to thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys being up here. This is my first opportunity to have to talk to you in the 55 years. The traffic concern, safety concern I have is I live on Madison at the edge of Riverside Drive and Madison. To the east of me, there's a cul-de-sac that there are 3 homes on and an office building that does not face Madison. It faces 83 and Walmart. There's a zoning meeting later this week here in the village about changing the zoning from office to museum, cultural facility, and special use of religious assembly. The information I have found on the religious assembly is on their current location in Evanston. Their website says they have on-street parking only. Their prayer schedule is sunrise to sunset, so it's not constant, it is constantly changing. In the 80s, there were a lot of people, including my parents, that fought hard to get the cul-de-sac changed from an open street to a cul-de-sac. The traffic in the mornings, before there was a cul-de-sac, was bumper to bumper from Villa Avenue all the way out to 83. If we have a potential change of the zoning on that building and we allow access for people to come to that building, I believe they only have 50 spots in their parking lot. Their parking lot is only accessed from 83. To leave their parking lot, you have to get on a small section of the frontage road and come to a stop sign and wait for an opportunity to pull into the traffic that is non-stopped from Walmart to get to the light. So access from that is extremely difficult. Right now, there are tenants in the office building that park in the neighborhood that aren't supposed to be there. When the cul-de-sac was in, there were neighbors that fought hard to get the entire cul-de-sac a no parking zone, so people didn't find it easier to park on Madison and walk in the back door of the business. We all know the potential traffic concerns that we have on High Ridge by Willowbrook High School and Ardmore School when kids are getting dropped off and picked up. The school schedule on the website I found was Saturdays and Sundays. So, knowing just a little about traffic, once things were to change, they would stay changed for a long time. So I'm here to try to ask the Traffic and Safety Committee to do a traffic study or do some kind of investigation before the zoning commission does anything with that property by changing it.
Okay. All right.
Do you have any questions for me?
Nope.
Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else here to like to speak on a non-agenda item?
I wasn't sure that I was going to say anything. I'm here with them to back them up. I haven't been here as long as Buddy.
Can you state your name, please?
Louis Cervantes.
Okay.
I live at 714 East Madison Street, which is right across, I'm the center house of the three houses he previously spoke of, which is right across the street from this place. And as he mentioned earlier about the people who actually park on our streets and around the corner and then walk there, I actually had an issue with them already. They were making deliveries in that area. Their garbage can is also there, meaning the garbage picks their garbage up from there, so they have a little driveway that they park there. I already was having issues hoping that they could put up a fence all the way across to stop all that. So their business is their business and our residential area is our residential area. I asked them if they could have the deliveries in the front side where it probably should be, and asked them, they also park in that area, right, that little driveway. They would park there and make that their parking spot, and in front of Buddy's house and the other neighbors around the corner. I asked them nicely, and it's a family, I guess, owned business, or that's renting from them, and the son was okay. The father asked me why I was causing trouble. And I told him I wasn't. I was trying to just be nice and polite, and it just went from there. The father doesn't come around and park over there. The son still parks over there, but I haven't had any issues with deliveries. They did stop the deliveries, but the parking, we still get traffic through there. People coming through, turn around, stop, and parking on the, I've had to call the police multiple times just to make sure everything's okay. I have a gentleman on the right of me. He's an elderly man. He's been having more issues lately, but normally he would call them, is from what my understanding is, but I've been calling because I have 2 grandkids, and I have a couple daughters that it would be my concern, besides that young lady over there. More traffic is just more problems for us over there. Having to call the cops, having to deal with, I'm not sure how the noise or what's going to happen over there. I have no idea. This was sprung on us maybe a couple weeks ago. So, but I'm here to back everybody up.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay. Basically, this is very new to us. I do not know what's going on with, was it planning and zoning? I don't know if anybody else on the board here knows. Okay. Commission. So all we can do is take a look into it, investigate it a little bit. I would suggest heavily attending the Building and Zoning Commission's progress as it goes each month through this. So, but our concerns can only be in reference to the traffic and the safety of the right-of-way of the streets and everything else. So, just want to make sure that you understand that. We can't do anything in reference to what kind of building, how they're going to access it, if it all goes through building and zoning. But just give you a little heads up. Yes?
I'm sorry. One more. We have one sign over there that says it's a no through traffic, and it gets buried by the brush over there, and it's on the right side. Apparently nobody sees it, so you just drive right through it. I'm not sure if that's anything you guys can do and have checked out, or have another sign put. I don't know if there should be a light on it, because we have hardly any light over there.
We can have somebody take a look at the situation with the brush covering the sign, so that should be visible to everybody from the street. Yes. So, thank you for pointing that out. So,
Just a point of information, and maybe Kevin knows, what would trigger a traffic assessment or traffic study? Because that cul-de-sac, emergency vehicles used to be able to drive through, but I think there's now a curb there. I don't,
It's actually
there was like,
guardrails, if I do believe.
there were
now,
like
with
plastic
the walkway.
bollards there. But, we don't even know if they're gonna ask for that cul-de-sac to be opened up or not. Yeah,
Unfortunately, I really can't speak to the details. I'd like to look into it a little bit further.
perfect.
Yeah, I do believe that's just guardrails with a walkway passage through there.
so that's about as far as we can go with it at the moment tonight. So, you can stay and,
Do you typically make any type of recommendation to zoning if it is some other traffic issue? If their changes are going to cause a traffic problem?
since it's been brought up to our commission, yes, we can talk to and investigate what's happening over there. At that point, then, like I said, if it has anything to do with the safety and the traffic of the situation over there in the public area, that's in our realm. Otherwise, it's back to planning and zoning and what they allow to happen over there. So, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. And you're more than welcome if you want to stay and listen to the rest of it, but that's up to you.
They know the dates.
You're
when the
really
planning and zoning is, by chance?
I think you said the next planning and zoning is this Thursday
This
coming up.
Thursday?
Yeah, I thought it was.
You know what time?
7:30 and
7:30 here? Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's keep moving on. Presentations, we're going to report for bike pedestrian and transit subcommittee. Bob?
Yes, I'll be very brief. Before I begin, I just want to correct something that I said at our last meeting. I said that there was some funding, limited funding, to subsidize businesses to apply to be a bicycle-friendly business.
Yes.
Through economic development. That's not true. I was mistaken. But I should say, in my defense, the chairman of the Economic Development Commission, Tony Odo, thought the same thing. They did request it in their budget, but it wasn't approved. So my apologies, I misspoke.
Thank you.
But Patrick Burke, who's the staff liaison, said that they may be able to find a limited amount of money to subsidize some applications, maybe $100. So just want to clarify that. The Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee met on February 23rd. Our main focus was on the bicycle-friendly community application. That's going to be postponed until the next deadline, which is in August. We did note that there's a kind of a collaboration feature to the application where multiple people can add input onto the application. So, for example, we could put, as the Bicycle and Pedestrian Transit Subcommittee, we could put in input in the application for the things that we know about, but the technical items that deal with, maybe with traffic statistics, accident statistics, the police and public works would have to enter that. Manager Harline didn't come to the subcommittee meeting, but he came to the Environmental Concerns Commission meeting, and he said that at some point, the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee would get a staff liaison to visit us, to help us. So, just want to mention that. We did talk about the feasibility study for the rail grade crossings. we just mentioned that. I see that Kevin has here about the Villa Park Avenue Improvement Project. We're very interested in that. We approved our meeting dates for 2023. There was some discussion about the Metro Station access. We talked about the Tri-Trail Connector, and would like to know maybe if when we have liaison reports, if Kevin could tell us when that will be underway. We also talked about a program, we just touched on it, we're going to talk about it more in depth. It's a program called Walk Audits, and it's actually, there's a program through AARP, but other communities have, other organizations have walk audits, where you walk the community, you note areas where there's problems with, maybe with transitions, or curbs, or trip and fall hazards, et cetera. So we're going to talk about that. And, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions from our commissioners? Nope. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of minutes of February 7th. Everybody take a look at that? Do we have any comments on that? Then, is there a motion to approve it?
I move to approve the minutes from February 7th.
Richmond Plaskamp.
And second,
I'll second.
Matthew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, we're good. Those are approved. Going down to old business. Jackson Middle School traffic patterns. Unfortunately, I've been so busy at work, I have not been able to talk to the principal about the situation. In the evening, as Bob brought out, there's less supervisors out there watching the traffic. So I missed on that. Yes. Trustee.
How are we doing? Trustee Solella. I've got a new twist to the old story here. We have a new problem at Jackson, Addison, related to the traffic flow of the school. I'm not talking about the lack of stop signs at this point. I'm talking about the traffic. They've come up with a new way to pick up their children. Picture the four-way intersection. Everyone's pulled up, parked to pick up their kids from all four corners up to the stop signs, okay? The new thing to do is to stage your car behind the last car from all three corners going eastbound, blocking the intersection 100%. It will not move. It's been going on for a week and a half. They don't care who's blowing the horn, who's saying what. They literally block that intersection. There's been no police activity around there. This has got nothing to do with parking signs. It's just ignorance. So I was hoping we'd have a show of police force tonight to have this addressed immediately, but maybe it can get passed on to Chief Reeves through Kevin tomorrow morning. It lasts for a good 20 minutes. It blocks everything. And they're all trying to just go
So it's the
eastbound.
afternoon traffic is what you're talking about?
Yes.
And it's all on the eastbound
It's all eastbound.
on
from-
Jackson?
Onto Jackson. To get behind the last car that's just past the intersection, so that when the cars start to move, they're in line. But that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Meanwhile, there's a bus that always comes through there, westbound. It's got to sit there. Can't move, and they won't move. So an officer on site shooing them along before it gets worse. That's what I've noticed. Other than that, the traffic flow seems to be working quite well. But this new traffic pattern that they're creating in the intersection is not good.
So we actually need to have a little help from Lombard, because our jurisdiction ends like 75 feet west of that driveway, am I correct?
For only the northeast.
Well, the northeast corner of the intersection is Villa Park's jurisdiction. The remaining 3/4 of it is Lombard.
Yeah, so, but it's It's really ridiculous. I mean, there's no concern about any normal traffic flow that wants to come through. They can't. They're just bottled up, and they will not move.
It sounds like the situation that developed at Ardmore, that people are getting there early too.
Well, they're there at 2:15, 2:20. But those cars are parked on the side, and they're their own nuisance in their own mind, but they're not blocking traffic. And you get the traffic, they can't get through here, and they back up, and they're using our driveways to attempt to turn around, and their driving skills are less than anything that's roadworthy. So we got damage to parkways, going over curbs, people fighting so they could do three-point turns to get out of it. It's a sight to be seen. So before it goes on much longer and that becomes the norm, I think it needs to be addressed.
Sounds good.
That's what I got for old business. I have something for new business, but I'll wait till that time.
Okay. Thank you, trustee. Any other further comments on this item? Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 891, North Avenue Townhomes, frontage and road parking restrictions. And I believe that's been officially been approved, signs have been put up.
Correct, yes.
And-
Ordinance adopted, signs installed, and police department intends to issue warning tickets until March 18th.
So it looks like about 2 good ballot weeks. Okay. So since that has been completed, do we have a motion to possibly remove this item from our agenda? Or do we want to keep it on for some reason?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I was at the board meeting when it was approved, and it was interesting. There were 6 or 7, maybe more people from the townhomes at the meeting because they somehow suddenly noticed the signs that were up. But I kind of followed them out of the boardroom and talked to them, and none of them knew anything about their homeowners association. So it was kind of and I can't remember the name of the property owner that owns multiple units there. LaBianca, I think it's the LaBianca family. Yeah, she was there as well. So I think the situation there with their homeowners association is still not good. But they came out and it was explained to them what was going on, and they seemed satisfied. So
Good. So does everybody agree that we could remove this from our agenda?
Sure.
Do we have a motion to remove it?
Motion.
Jack has motion 1,
Cuthbertson?
and Mr. Wagner has motion 2. His hand was up behind yours.
Yeah, he did. He got it up first. He
I'll second the
got
motion.
his hand, he got his hand up there first.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. New businesses, new business. So, the situation that's developing with the building over there by Madison, I know nothing about it. Trustee, do you know anything about it?
I haven't heard a word.
Okay. I would assume, I couldn't assume that if they would sit there and ask us, the planning and zoning, to recommendation about any traffic unless we send something to them.
Well, I'm looking at their agenda, it's the first time it's on their new business. So it's supposed to be the first time they're going to be hearing about it as well.
Okay. All right. So anyways, I guess we should create a new item. And I believe, would this be item 892?
It would be 892.
892 in reference to traffic patterns develop, I heard so many names about, what do they call it, culture center?
They want to make it a cultural center. Currently, it's I don't know what kind of business. It's owned by the bank.
Petitioner is for a culture center. Okay. So,
You need a motion? I'll motion to put this on the agenda and make it 892.
Motion by Flaskamp,
Second?
I'll second.
Alessandro.
Matt?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So.
I have a question about that one.
Okay, go ahead.
When he was here, was he just kind of asking, because I know the address gives it as a Madison address, was he just trying to see if they could re-identify it as a different address to put it, so the people doing their GPSs don't end up, was that kind of what he was asking?
I believe what I took from it was it's currently zoned as like an office space, and they're trying to get it zoned as a community center, which is different. The address though is, so I did a search on there, on just Google search the address for directions, and the directions do tell you to go through 83. Like, it doesn't take you to Madison. Now, I see what the community members are saying, and it will happen that people are going to learn that after their first few times, they're going to end up parking along that side, and I see their concerns there. But the good news, at least from a directional GPS standpoint, it takes you on the GPS, it will take you through 83 onto that frontage road.
I did the same through Apple, Apple Maps.
It does
did the
take
same
you-
thing. It
okay.
took you through 83, yeah. But I understand what he's saying, because he said there's only 50 parking spaces. So how many people are they anticipating coming to any one of their events?
We need to take a look at that and dig in that deeper. I do understand their concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean, because it depends on what they're asking, because, I mean, we don't know if they would be asking to get rid of the cul-de-sac again and open it up to 83, so that, we don't know what they're presenting. So that's what they seem to be concerned about that, so.
I would like to add that it might be wise for commissioners to either view this Thursday's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which is televised live, or if they wish, even attend, given that the Traffic and Safety Commission cannot take any formal action on the item without it being on the agenda, which obviously will not occur in advance of Thursday's meeting.
Okay.
What time do they meet?
7:30.
I have the agenda right.
No, you've got it right there, yeah.
7:30 on Thursday.
Actually,
7:30.
Yeah,
Okay.
she had said Thursday at 7:30 is what she had said.
All right. There's a slight chance that I could attend that, but it's very slight at the moment, just according to my schedule.
I'm in the same boat right there. I'll try if I can.
Yeah, I will watch. I'll be out of town.
All right. Trustee, you said you have something new now.
So we had coffee with the board this past Saturday, and there was a large showing of people, residents, who had concerns of speeding and drag racing in the Vermont Beverly area. And I thought they would be in attendance this evening, but they're not. But Manager Harline had drafted an email, excuse me, to them, letting them know that he was aware of it and that they should attend tonight's meeting. He also mentioned that I would be there. So on their behalf, but that they're not here, I'll bring it to you guys so you're heads up on it. Beverly in Vermont, they've got a lot of concerns of drag racing and speeding that goes on through the evening. It's causing a lot of problems in the neighborhood. They were requesting speed bumps and divots in the roads, anything to slow down traffic. I can't go into all the details because I don't know all the details, and without them here to expand on it, I can't go any further. But just so you know, it's something coming down the road. Manager Harline's aware of it. He recommended their attendance here tonight to share it with you. So I'm sure we'll be seeing this issue coming up in
Dave, one more time, Beverly and what?
Vermont.
Vermont, okay.
So is it going down Beverly or is it going down Vermont?
My gathering from what they were discussing, it's both.
Okay.
And it's not just a single car, it's side-by-side drag racing, and
Did you get the names of any of the people? Did
it'll
you?
be on the minutes for,
What's that?
it'll be on the minutes.
Right,
for-
I know that, but are you?
I don't have them with
Okay.
me, no. No, now we have a secretary, I take myself away from
Okay.
taking notes like that. So, Just so you're aware.
That it'll be coming possibly in the future, possibly, if they don't come.
Well,
Because isn't,
I totally understand. The only thing I have, is it like only on the weekends, or is it constant through the
from what I
week?
gather, it's an ongoing problem. I don't know that they identified it as a weekend or a weekday problem. They seem to address it as an ongoing daily occurrence. And they don't feel that policing's being done, and they're looking for something that would detour cars from speeding and drag racing side by side, so.
so isn't the west side of Beverly right now between Vermont and Terrace, that's pretty much torn up because they took all the buildings down for the building of the high-rise there by the train station? So there's like nobody who lives on the west side of Beverly right now.
Maybe it makes
So I
it more
bet it-
ideal to race, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying, if they start in the parking lot at the
Yeah.
train station, they could stage there and go down. I'm just
Like I
curious.
said, without their input this
Yeah.
evening, it's kind of hard for me to go a
See
little
what's
bit
in
further on
the
it,
Train station?
but it's coming
You're
down.
making us aware of it.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
thanks.
Thank you.
That's all I got, thank you.
'Cause, yeah, that's all dead.
Yep.
So they got perfect.
All right.
straight.
Kevin has a new item too. Are we done with this one, or?
Oh, yeah, no, we're done. I have something too, so Kevin can go
Okay.
first.
I wanted to circle back to the public comments that were made at the last meeting by the resident at 802 South Villa Avenue. Obviously, the materials that the residents submitted at that meeting are in the meeting minutes that have now been approved for the meeting. Staff did look into those requests further, just to refresh everyone's memory or for anybody who wasn't here. The resident suggested shifting the pavement markings, the centerline pavement markings on Villa, north of Madison Street further east to allow for an actual striped parking lane. That was one of the things. The other one that was a specific request was the installation of a no parking here to corner sign on the west side of Villa Avenue, north of Madison Street. With regard to the no parking here to corner sign, staff evaluated that, and we're in agreement that there should be one there. For the commission's reference, there is 2 lanes at Washington Street. Villa's 2 lanes at Washington Street. And then as southbound traffic approaches Madison Street, it actually branches out into 3 lanes, where there's a left turn lane for southbound Villa Avenue traffic, a straight through and right turn lane for southbound Villa Avenue traffic, and then 1 lane for northbound Villa Avenue traffic. Currently, traffic is not prohibited within the 3-lane section. Looking at the configuration there, we believe, staff, that is, believes that it should be. So with the commission's concurrence, staff can bring forward a draft ordinance at a future meeting to enact that change. It would basically consist of prohibiting parking on the west side of Villa Avenue from a point at the intersection to roughly 275, 300 feet north of the intersection. So we're in agreement with the residents' request on that. With regard to the shift in the striping, however, we did take a closer look at that, and we don't believe that there's enough room in the corridor to accommodate that request. The existing width is approximately 28 feet edge to edge, and accounting for an 8-foot required width on the parking, we'd obviously be down to 20 feet, leaving 10 feet width for the travel lanes in each direction, which is less than the 12 feet that's preferred, less than the 11 feet that's typically considered the minimum. And so for that reason, staff feels that the 10 foot that would be left there would end up causing more hazards than benefit. And that would be our position on that one. But I leave it open to the commission's discussion and direction.
So if we do make recommendations and stuff, do we have to consider it as an agenda item?
Yes, yes. The action tonight would basically entail, yes, adding it to the agenda for future formal action.
Okay.
At which time staff would present a draft ordinance for consideration.
I have a question. That measurement on the 28 feet, where was that taken in?
That's after the roadway narrows.
About third house?
It's actually a little bit more than 3 homes. It's roughly 4.
Okay.
Like I said, around 280, 275, 300 feet is where the roadway basically tapers back to the width that it then carries all the way up to Washington Street.
Okay, I know I had measured it, I came up with 30 feet 4 inches. The northbound side to center, or from the stripe to the east curb was 15 feet 4 inches. It was exactly 15 feet on the west side. That was about the third house north of the intersection.
I think it still continues to narrow north
It
of
does
there.
narrow down some. I was just kind of curious because it seemed like it was awfully wide on the east side. I was wondering if we were allowing for a possible bicycle path, share the road with bicycle at one point in time. Because it is awfully wide on the east side. It's possible it narrows down farther down the block. But there is ample room. We do need to share the road with people going over the yellow line. It's the same concern everywhere in Villa Park, not just there. And just we need to be courteous and learn to share the road, that's all.
Any other comments from commissioners? So I'm assuming that we want to make this an agenda item so that we can then make the recommendations back to the engineering department? Does it have to go to the village board to get it? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Make recommendations to the village board then. So we have a new item that's now going to be 893.
Motion.
And
Make a motion to make this
I'd
agenda
like-
item?
Yeah, but I want a title
Oh,
first.
sorry.
So, got a title?
Villa Avenue. Help me out here, Kevin.
Mill Avenue, parking restrictions north of Madison Street?
Is it parking restrictions, and should we address the situation with the striping?
That would be the commission's choice. As I mentioned, staff would not support the change.
No, I understand that, but then we actually will be giving
Right.
a statement back from the people that were here last time.
Okay.
And giving them a result.
Jay?
Yes.
Yeah, I did actually at 3 times throughout the month watch it at different points, and as far, there's ample room for people to go around cars. They may go over the yellow line a few inches. Even with a car parked there, you still have like 8 inches, or 8 feet between the center line. That's just being courteous to share the road, that's all. I would not advise to moving striping.
I'm not disagreeing with that statement with it, and basically because of the traffic manual, there's all kinds of different widths that you have to have, and as Kevin was mentioning, that will not make that possible, so it has to stay there. So with that information, I was sitting there saying that we should address the concerns of the people from last week, or last month, and also address it at the same time, making the conclusion we looked into it. We found out that because of the different ordinance, or traffic manual ordinance, that you can't do anything with it, except as you come out to be as courteous.
Okay.
So,
I concur.
so, okay, so, Bell Avenue, traffic, help me with this, Kevin, how would you want to do this?
Parking restrictions and striping.
Parking and
Striping.
parking restrictions and striping. Okay, do we have a motion to, Matthew,
I'll make that motion.
That was,
I'll second the motion.
second by Vicky.
okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, so we have another new item, 893. Up.
My apologies, I have one more item for you that arose from coffee with the board. It was a discussion on our new crosswalk at Leslie and Jackson. There were some concerns of why that was put there, and that was clarified through our meeting of why it was installed. for safety reasons, whatnot. Their concerns there are, they don't feel it's identified as a crosswalk, as well as others that are aiding children crossing the street by the school, being they're right by the school. And now they understand that some of that crosswalk accessibility is from the high school students that cross Jackson. I know we striped the street, but the signage, there's no signage identifying it as a crosswalk. Until you're right up to it, you see the striping. But you don't see any signage identifying a crosswalk as you're driving towards it, like we have at other intersections like Wisconsin and Jackson. So they're looking for some signage that will identify that as a crosswalk before you're on top of it. So,
I'm going to turn that right over to Kevin, because I don't know, isn't there certain rules on that, how that can be addressed?
I'd like to look into that a little further.
Yeah.
There are, yes, to answer your question, yes.
And I
there
don't
are.
know if there's a sign that could be possibly done.
nor do I.
So, we'll look into it.
Thank you, sir.
So you would like us to look at, do you want us to put that as another new agenda?
I think we should, because of the traffic and the safety concern that deals with pedestrians there. If it doesn't fit the criteria for signage, so be it. But if it does, I think we should adapt to
And just off the top of my head, I do remember when we were looking into that and putting that crosswalk in, there was a discussion about the striping and how that all should be configured. And I believe something said that we couldn't put a cross.
Yeah, just to touch back on that subject, at the time it was being reviewed here at the commission, and I had mentioned that we were moving forward with the construction work. I also mentioned that we were only going to stripe the crosswalk on the Leslie Lake, not on Jackson Street at all, which is our typical practice. But with the village construction project on the Jackson Middle School property currently ongoing and currently blocking the pedestrian sidewalk on the south side of Jackson Street, the School District 45 actually requested if we would stripe the crosswalk going across Jackson Street there as a temporary measure for their students to use it while that project is ongoing and that sidewalk is currently blocked. So typically, village standard would have not been to stripe it, but in this case, we did to accommodate the pedestrian traffic that's basically circumventing the construction project.
I think that they feel...
Is that what they're talking about, that stripe that's?
Yeah. I think what they feel, though, is we have a similar crosswalk to the west that is identified with stripes and signs, yet we installed another one with different guidelines that show no signage indicating that there's a crosswalk there. So they wanted to know
Okay.
how come.
We can take a closer look.
Okay, thank you.
And my next question is, Kevin, is that temporary, that situation, or would that, because of the construction that is happening at that park?
It was staff's expectation that that striping across Jackson Street would be temporary for the duration of the construction project, yes.
Okay, and when will that construction project end?
We have roughly 3 to 4 months of planned construction work, followed by whatever restoration period may be needed for establishment of seed and plantings and things like that.
So somewhere close to September of this year.
I would hope before that, but
Isn't Jackson getting an overlay from Ardmore to Addison?
that is scheduled as well. I don't recall off the top of my head if it's this year or not, though.
It's been pushed 2 years, and this is supposed to be the final. We're supposed to do it after the construction, as not to disturb it in the street, obviously, and during school closure. So my impression and direction that was given to me was in the summer, at the end of the school year, before school starts, and construction is over.
Which would roughly put what your timeline is, 3 to 4 months of that. What's this, at June, July?
I know in July, They don't usually do any landscaping, am I correct? July and August? To weather?
This is specialized planting, so I'm not entirely sure what the requirements are.
Or is it wetlands planting?
Not wetland per se, but native plantings and things of that nature.
Okay. So the question is, do we want to make this an agenda item to discuss or wait and see what happens with all this construction that's developing?
Well, my take on it is the construction is its issue all itself, and we know that's going to go away. It's going to still come back once the construction's done, is what they feel is an unidentified crosswalk. So,
I agree, but since he said it's temporary and originally there was no crosswalk warranted to go across?
I guess then if you could defend why one intersection has identification of a crosswalk and this one doesn't need it, which is it's on the street, fine. But I don't know that we can defend that without some good, hard
We have to look
investigation.
into it.
Yeah,
Right.
just,
One way or the other, we should have the right answer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll make it an agenda
yeah,
item.
we should look into it, especially if it is still going to be temporary for another 3 to 4 months. If we temporarily have a crosswalk there, then what's to say we couldn't temporarily have signage?
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to have a new item again, 894, the pavement marking and signage at the crossing. What was that, Leslie?
Jackson and Leslie.
Leslie and Jackson. And do we have a motion? Yes.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Bob, second? Anybody a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Ricky? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. All right.
I did have something, this is more of an exploratory thing. I was approached by a resident about, if we've had any discussions or trying to be proactive about the increased traffic that is to come with the new Union Station development on Villa. Obviously, they still need to start construction, but once they do, the concern was, hey, there's going to be an increase in traffic once it's done. Do we have any plans in place for how to deal with that increase in traffic? And I said, well, we haven't really had those discussions yet, so I can, bring it here. And I mean, it would be probably a long open item, but something that we could discuss / get input on and see if we can be proactive in nature before, the construction finishes and then all of a sudden there's an increase in traffic and we just wait until there's a problem. So, just a suggestion, but, we'll see what other people think. So, I just got that concern from a resident and wanted to bring it to the attention of the commission.
Yes, Bob?
Didn't they communicate with staff that the project is delayed? Isn't they're not on their time schedule? Am I mistaken in that?
I don't know what their time schedule was, but I can state that they're not at a point where they've submitted, they will have to submit a traffic impact study.
Gotcha.
Which I believe there was an early iteration submitted quite some time ago. Staff had comments on it. We weren't ready to bring it forward to traffic and safety. And to my knowledge, we have not received an updated one since. But it would be my expectation that when we do get an updated study, whenever that may be, that staff would certainly put it forward to the commission for discussion.
Perfect. That answers that.
Okay. So it's in a holding pattern. So, sounds good. Okay. Any other new businesses? Nope. Okay, so let's move on. Commissioners' comments. This time we'll start from the right. Jack?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Vicki?
I got nothing. Thank you.
Thank you to the residents that came out tonight and voice their opinions on the situation at the cul-de-sac at Madison. Definitely appreciate your input and know that we have heard your comments. So we will work to, when time comes, do our best to aid with the situation. And then I'd just like to say thank you to our first responders in town and active duty military. That's it.
Bob?
Yeah, I did share that little article about Slow Your Roll, the Village of Homewood. I thought it was interesting. I hope other folks thought it was interesting as well.
I apologize, Bob, I didn't actually forward that along yet, so I still need to send that out to the commission.
Oh. I think I may have forwarded it
Okay.
to everybody, because it really is not a violation of Open Meetings Act, because there's no discussion. So I'm just sharing it, it's not, I'm not asking. I did sit in on a webinar put on by an organization called America Walks, and they had some really interesting speakers, and it was about the future of transportation, and it was really fascinating. It talked about the increase in micromobility, the increase in e-bikes, and they mentioned some communities that actually allow golf cart type vehicles on the street, just because they're electric powered for the most part, and they're good for short hops. It was just the program was just full of really interesting information, and if it's okay, I'll share it with the commission as well.
I have no problem.
Yeah. And I did notice that our next meeting is on April 4th, which is Election Day. And I know that Karen is an election judge. And some of us will be involved with the election. I'd like to just throw it out there, if it's okay with you, to see if we wanted to feasibly possibly change our meeting date till April 11th.
So unfortunately, when the topic came up regarding the July 4th meeting, I had raised the topic for
yeah.
discussion at the commission meeting.
Yeah.
I was informed after that it did require formal action to change the date. So with it not having been on the agenda tonight, unfortunately, we would not have an opportunity to do it in advance.
I get it. Okay. Yeah.
So we'll just have to see what happens, if we get enough for a quorum or not.
Okay. And, yeah, and I did notice that the folks with Civil Tech were working last week on Villa Avenue. And this is something that we passed along to the village manager when he joined us, that we thought that since this is supposed to be a public input meeting, that having it from 4 PM to 6 PM doesn't really encourage people to, I know you've already made but maybe 5 to 7 would be better. Because at 4 PM, kids are coming home from school.
Sure.
People are getting dinner ready. They're not going to dash to Iowa Community Center. I think a 5 PM to 7 PM would have been a better time.
That's something we could certainly consider there will be a second meeting for this project as well.
Okay.
So we can certainly have a conversation about it for that one.
All right, and that's all I've got.
Okay. I do have a question to Kevin. It was brought to my attention, and maybe I did hear of it, I don't recall. But is there also some type of developing for St. Charles Road coming up? Because I had a person that had a business who was kind of all up in...
It might be referring to the proposed TIF district, is that
That could be.
possibly what it is?
Could be.
So, yes, the village is currently in the process of proposing a new TIF district in the St. Charles Road corridor. For anyone who doesn't know, that stands for tax increment financing. It is basically a financial tool available to municipalities that allows the tax income from those districts to be treated a little bit differently. So it does not entail any construction, no actual building development. It is a administrative operation, so to speak. And I can provide more information on that to the commission if they would like.
Were they gonna, I thought the last time they were going to be combined like two districts or something like that, because it would be part of a district that's already in place.
Yes, so the existing St. Charles TIF or Oakfield TIF, depending on what document you read, would be, if this is approved, would be absorbed into the new larger St. Charles TIF district, yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have. Okay.
I do have one question. With regards to the comprehensive plan, I heard the discussion about that, and it was mentioned planning and zoning would be heavily involved. But is there any, I don't know how that whole comprehensive plan committee, I mean, there was a committee before, when it was chaired by two trustees. I think at the time, Trustee Bolthus and Trustee Cullerton were the chairs of the co-chairs, and different groups were invited to, and I think it'd be worthwhile to have maybe someone from traffic and safety on it, not just, planning and zoning commissioners as well. So, just my thoughts.
I can pass that along.
Okay. So my question is, were you seeing if that was still live and kicking, or?
Well, there's been a firm we're contracted with to help develop a new comprehensive plan.
I'm unaware of it, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, it was on the agenda. Okay.
I did see something posted
Yeah,
about
it was
that.
on the agenda. It was approved because some of the trustees commented on the price of the comprehensive, the cost of it. And I apologize, I don't know what the name of the consultant, it was something interesting. They were here in the boardroom, and I actually got their cards.
What meeting was this? The most recent board meeting?
No, it was the meeting before that.
I do remember something about this.
Okay.
We are definitely embarking on a comprehensive plan.
Was this firm selected to
Pardon
be
me?
was this firm selected to be the,
To lead because they had experience in doing it.
okay. All right.
Yeah, confirmed. Resolution of the Village of Villa Park authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Village of Villa Park and, I apologize, I'm going to butcher this, Halcyon Levine Associates LLC.
Alceel Levine, yeah.
For This was the 13th.
And they were in the audience. They gave a little presentation, or talked about it, and yeah, it was, I'm 99% certain it passed.
Okay, I apologize that,
You're right. We did pass it. I do.
yeah, I'd like to familiarize myself a little bit more with that,
Okay.
before I provide feedback to the commission. But I will, as I mentioned, I will pass along your mention of having at least somebody from the commission here involved in the process.
Okay. All right, but anyways, that's all the comments I had. Trustee Salala, do you have any other comments?
No, I have not.
Okay, Kevin?
Just to reiterate, as mentioned a few times already, but public information meeting number 1 for the village's Villa Avenue Improvement Project to be held on March 22nd from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Iowa Community Center. I believe I also mentioned before, but it'll be an open house format with staff and consultant representatives available for conversations, exhibits available for review, and the opportunity for the public to make comments on the project and things that they might like to see with it. That's all I have.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting for tonight? Bob,
Look to make a motion to adjourn.
any seconds? Vicky?
Last came.
Wow. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, so we have adjourned this meeting at 9:10. And thank you.
Thank you.